You stand there with the hose in your hand, looking at the same yellow dandelions you pulled last month, the same clover spreading through the lawn, and the same bare little patches where the grass never quite thickened back in. Then somebody online tells you to pour vinegar on it, or salt, or boiling water. And if you have ever tried one of those tricks near a lawn, you already know the ugly truth. They do not know the difference between a weed and the grass you paid to grow. That is why this one matters. There is a lawn weed treatment that works more like a smart key than a blowtorch. It can blacken broadleaf weeds fast, while the grass around them usually recovers and keeps growing. It is not vinegar. It is not table salt. It is not dish soap in a spray bottle. The ingredient is iron, but not the rusty nail kind people pass around in garden myths. It is chelated iron, often listed on the HEDTA or FeHEDTA. Now I am going to be honest before we go one step further, because your lawn is not a place for half-truths. The title says 1 cup, but the label is always the recipe. Different concentrates have different strengths, and you should never free pour 1 cup of anything just because a video sounded confident. What you want is the right iron-based lawn weed product, measured in a dedicated cup, diluted exactly the way the label says. That is the difference between a useful lawn fix and another expensive mistake. And keep watching to the middle, because I will show you the test patch that saves people from staining wasted product and one very common timing mistake. First, let us clear the bad advice out of the way. Vinegar burns green leaves. It can make a weed look dead very quickly, and that is why the internet loves it. The problem is that vinegar is a contact burner. It does not look at a dandelion leaf and say, yes, that one. It burns what it lands on. Your grass blade is a leaf too. If that spray drifts, your grass pays the bill. Salt is worse. Salt does not just burn a leaf. It can sit in the soil and make that spot harder to grow in later. That may be fine in a driveway crack where you never want anything, but it is a terrible bargain in a lawn where you are trying to help living grass fill in. Boiling water has the same problem in a different costume. It kills by heat, and heat is not selective. If it splashes the crown of your grass, the grass does not get a special pardon. So if your weed is growing in gravel, a patio crack, or a strip where nothing good belongs, those methods have their place. But in the middle of a lawn, they are too blunt. They are like using a frying pan to fix a wristwatch. You may hit the problem, but you are going to damage the thing around it. This is where chelated iron earns its keep. Broadleaf weeds take up certain iron products more readily through their leaves than turfgrass does. When the weed absorbs too much iron, that overload causes the leaf tissue to oxidize, darken, shrivel, and dry out. You will often see weeds turn black or very dark within hours or a day. The grass may darken a little too, especially cool season grasses, but extension sources note that it generally recovers within a few days to a week. Think of it like leaving a cast iron pan wet on the counter. That orange-brown oxidation shows up fast because iron is reacting. In a weed leaf, the reaction is much harsher. The broadleaf weed takes in enough iron that the leaf tissue collapses. The grass beside it simply does not take it up the same way, so it usually rides through the treatment with nothing worse than temporary darkening. That word usually matters. If you hear someone say this never affects grass at all, slow down. Lawns are different. Fescue, ryegrass, bluegrass, Bermuda, zoysia, bentgrass, stress summer turf, wet turf, dry turf, newly seeded turf, all of those can respond differently. Some labels warn against certain grasses. Some extension notes say warm season grasses need more testing. So the rule is simple. Read the label for your grass type and test before you treat the whole lawn. Now let us talk about which weeds this is actually for, because this is where people waste money. Iron-based lawn weed products are mainly for broadleaf lawn weeds, including dandelion, clover, chickweed, plantain, black medic, speedwell, and moss on some labels. Those are the kind of weeds with wider leaves that sit inside the turf and make the lawn look messy, even when the grass is otherwise decent. It is not a magic answer for every green thing you dislike. Crabgrass is a grassy weed. Nutsedge is a sedge. Wild onion and wild garlic have their own little survival plans. A product that is gentle on grass cannot magically know that one grass-like plant is wanted and another grass-like plant is not. That is why people spray, get disappointed, and say it did nothing. They used the right tool on the wrong enemy. So before you spend $1, walk your lawn and identify what you have. If the weed has a broad flat leaf and sits like a little rosette, iron may be useful. If it looks like another grass blade, you need a different plan. That 2-minute walk can save you a whole bottle. Here is the practical way to do it. Pick a cool, calm day. Spring and fall are usually better than the middle of a hot July afternoon because the weeds are actively growing and the grass is not already fighting heat stress. Morning is good if the lawn is dry and the day will stay calm. Do not spray before heavy rain. You want the product on the leaves long enough to work, not washing into the gutter. Use a pump sprayer if you have more than a few weeds, or a small hand sprayer if you are just spot treating. Put on gloves, old shoes, and clothes you do not mind. Iron products can stain concrete, stone, brick, fences, and light surfaces, so keep the spray away from sidewalks and patios. If you have a weed right beside a walkway, use a piece of cardboard as a shield. A cereal box cut open works perfectly, and that is about as budget as gardening gets. Now measure. Not with the measuring cup from your kitchen drawer. Use a dedicated garden measuring cup and mark it so it never comes back inside. Add water to the sprayer first, then add the concentrate according to the label, then top up with the remaining water if the label tells you to. Close the sprayer and gently swirl it. Do not shake it like a paint can unless the label says to. You are mixing, not making foam. If the label rate for your tank happens to land near 1 cup, that is fine. If it says less, use less.
Pay close attention.
If it says more, use more only if the label says your weed and grass type call for it. The label is not a suggestion. It is the law, and it is also the cheapest insurance you have. Now comes the test patch I promised you. Choose a small patch of weeds in a part of the lawn that is not the first thing people see from the street. Treat only that patch, then wait several days instead of judging it after 10 minutes or 1 hour. Watch the weeds and the grass together. If the weeds blacken and the grass stays healthy or only darkens temporarily, you have your answer. If the grass looks stressed, stop and adjust before you treat more. That little test patch may feel slow, but it is much faster than repairing a whole front yard. When you are ready to treat, spot spray. That means you aim for the weed leaves, not the entire yard. Blanket spraying a whole lawn with organic iron herbicide can get expensive fast, and budget gardening means you do not throw product at places that do not need it. Walk slowly. Spray until the weed leaves are wet, but not dripping into the soil. A wet leaf is the target. A puddle is waste. Start with the weeds that bother you most. The dandelion rosettes by the mailbox. The clover patches near the path. The plantain leaves spreading in compacted soil by the driveway. You do not need to win the whole lawn in one pass. You need to break the worst patches first. Within hours, you may see the leaves darken. By the next day, many will look blackened and collapsed. This is the satisfying part, and it is also the part where people make the next mistake. They assume black leaves mean dead roots. Not always. Iron HEDTA is a contact herbicide. That means it mainly damages the foliage it lands on. Perennial weeds like dandelion and clover can regrow from crowns and roots if you only knock the top back once. That does not mean it failed. It means you have to understand the rhythm. You burn down the leaves, the root spends stored energy to push new leaves, and then you hit that new growth again. Do that enough times and you weaken the plant. Think of the weed root like a pantry. Every time it grows new leaves, it is spending food from the shelves. Every time you blacken those leaves before they can refill the pantry, the shelves get emptier. One treatment may make the lawn look better. 2 or 3 well-timed spot treatments are what actually start to change the patch. Most labels and extension recommendations put repeat treatments weeks apart, often around 3 to 4 weeks, depending on the product and the weed. Follow your label. The point is not to spray every day. The point is to let new leaves appear, then treat while they are still young and vulnerable. Now let me give you the lawn-saving rules that matter just as much as the spray. Rule 1. Do not treat a thirsty, heat-stressed lawn. If the grass is gray-green, crunchy, or already sulking in summer heat, leave it alone. Water deeply, wait for recovery, and treat when the lawn is actively growing. A stressed lawn handles everything worse, including products that are normally gentle. Rule 2. Do not mow right before you spray if you cut the weed leaves off. You need leaf surface for the product to hit. If you scalp the clover down to little nubs, there is nothing there to absorb the iron. Wait until the weeds have enough leaf again, then treat. After treatment, give it time before mowing so the product can do its job. Rule 3. Keep it off hard surfaces. Iron stains are no joke. A brown-orange drip line on concrete can outlast the weeds you were trying to kill. Spray with the nozzle low. Use cardboard shields near edges. If product lands on a sidewalk, rinse it right away before it dries. Rule 4. Do not seed the same day unless the label specifically allows it. Some lawn products are fine around established grass but still have timing rules around new seed, young seedlings, or freshly renovated turf. Baby grass is not the same as established grass. It is more tender, more shallow-rooted, and much easier to offend. Rule 5. Do not mix your own chemistry. No vinegar plus iron. No dish soap unless the label tells you. No salt because some comment said it makes it stronger. That is how a lawn treatment turns into a lawn injury. If the product needs a surfactant, the label will tell you. If it does not, leave it alone. Now this is the part the garden center aisle will not emphasize, because it sells fewer bottles. Spray alone does not fix why the weeds got in. It only removes the weeds that are already there. Clover often moves into thin turf and low nitrogen lawns. Plantain loves compacted soil. Moss likes shade, moisture, and weak turf. Dandelions love open spaces where seeds can land and see light. If your lawn is thin, the weeds will keep getting invitations. So after you spot treat, thicken the grass. That is the real long game. Set your mower higher. For many cool season lawns, mowing around 3 to 4 inches helps shade the soil, protect the crown, and make it harder for weed seeds to germinate. Short grass feels tidy for a day, but it opens the soil to light. Tall grass is a living umbrella. The weed seed underneath waits in the shade and gets nothing. Water deeply instead of sprinkling lightly every day. A little daily splash trains shallow roots. A deeper soak, less often, teaches grass to go down for moisture. Deep roots make stronger turf, and stronger turf leaves less room for weeds. Picture the grass roots like tent stakes. Short stakes wobble. Deep stakes hold. Overseed thin patches at the right season for your region. In many cool season lawns, early fall is the sweet spot because soil is warm, air is cooler, and weed pressure starts dropping. Scratch the bare patch, add a little compost if the soil is tired, spread the seed, keep it moist, and let grass occupy the space before weeds do. That is cheaper than buying weed killer forever. Fix compaction where plantain keeps showing up. If you see plantain in the same walkway strip every year, the weed is not the mystery. The hard soil is. Aerate that area, top dress lightly with compost, and stop using it as the path if you can. Plantain is a symptom with leaves. The problem is the soil being packed like a brick. And feed carefully. This is where budget gardeners get pulled both ways. Too little nutrition and the grass stays thin. Too much quick nitrogen, and you create soft growth that struggles in heat and disease. Use a soil test if your extension office offers one, or at least follow a conservative lawn fertilizer schedule for your grass type and region. The cheapest bag is not always the cheapest plan if it pushes the lawn at the wrong time. Now let us put it all together as a simple weekend plan. On Friday evening, walk the lawn and mark the broadleaf weed patches. Dandelion, clover, plantain, chickweed. Leave the crabgrass out of this plan because that needs a different strategy. On Saturday morning, if the weather is cool, dry, and calm, mix your iron-based lawn weed product exactly by the label in a dedicated sprayer. Treat one hidden test patch first if this is your first time with that product or that grass. If you have already tested and know your lawn handles it, spot spray the worst broadleaf patches. Keep the nozzle low. Shield the concrete. Wet the leaves, not the world. Then wait. Watch for darkening. Do not panic if the weeds look ugly. That is the point. Do not panic if the grass darkens a shade for a few days, as long as it is otherwise healthy and the label says your grass is listed. Give the lawn time. 3 to 4 weeks later, check what regrew. If new dandelion leaves or clover leaves are back, spot treat the new growth according to the label. Then look at the empty spaces the weeds left behind. Those little gaps are not victory yet. They are vacancies. Put grass seed there at the right season, or the next weed seed will move right in. That is the whole system. Identify the weed, use the selective tool, and repeat only where needed. Then thicken the grass so you need less product next year. And this is why I like this approach for a budget lawn. It is not the cheapest bottle on the shelf. Sometimes iron-based organic lawn products cost more per application than conventional broadleaf herbicides. But if you use them as a spot treatment instead of bathing the whole yard, and you pair them with mowing higher, overseeding, and fixing compacted patches, you stop buying your way out of the same problem every month. You are treating the weed, and the reason the weed showed up. The old vinegar trick feels cheaper because the jug costs a few dollars. But if it burns your grass, stains the edge of your lawn, leaves the root alive, or tempts you to add salt that damages the soil, it was never cheap. It was just inexpensive at the cash register. Real cheap is the fix you do once and do not regret. So here is the plain answer. If you want to kill broadleaf weeds in a lawn without punishing the grass around them, look for a labeled selective lawn weed product with iron HEDTA or FeHEDTA. Measure it with a dedicated garden cup. Dilute it by the label. Spot spray young, actively growing broadleaf weeds on a cool, calm day. Expect dark weeds fast, expect some regrowth from tough perennials, and plan on repeat spot treatments weeks apart if the label allows it. Then do the quiet work that keeps the weeds from coming back. Mow high, water deep, overseed thin ground, and loosen compacted strips. Feed the lawn like you are building a living carpet, not forcing a green paint job. Picture the same lawn a month from now. The dandelion rosettes by the mailbox are blackened and gone. The clover patch by the path is smaller. The grass is taller, denser, and shading its own soil. You are not walking around with a salt jug or a boiling kettle, hoping not to splash the wrong plant. You are using the right tool, in the right place, with a little patience. That is how a lawn stops being a yearly argument with weeds. Not one magic cup poured blindly over the yard. One measured, selective treatment where it belongs, followed by grass strong enough to hold the ground on its own. If this helped you avoid the vinegar and salt trap, you will feel right at home here, because smart, low-cost gardening is what we do on this channel. Tell me in the comments what weed is taking over your lawn right now: dandelion, clover, plantain, or something grass-like, and I will know what kind of lawn rescue you need next.